Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Film Fan Club Show. I am Sam Carrico. This is our special live Film Fan Club Show post-Oscars discussion. Later on, we'll have Ian Simmons from Kicking the Seat joining us. But first, I want to give my quick monologue. I wrote this before. It's been a busy weekend. I just spent the weekend in Oklahoma City. So I wrote this monologue before we went out of town. So I want to make sure I bring that up. And we'll get right to the monologue here. Again, this is live. Thank you so much for joining us live. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sam Carrico. Welcome to a live post-Oscars edition of the Film Fan Club Show. Now I know what you're thinking. Sam, your last few episodes have flopped with ratings, but you know what? So is the last few Oscars, so we'll fit right in. I mean, maybe we should have rode a makeshift sandworm to boost the numbers. Let me bring up the video. I got a video to go with that. So... oh, not like that. Hang on. There we go. All right. There's the video for the next part of the monologue. Yeah. Did you hear about the Dune guy that went viral for riding a makeshift sandworm around the opening of Dune Part 2? The guy right here, he's from Tulsa, Oklahoma, too. How cool is that? There he is riding a sandworm around the theater. And to think I can't even get away with bringing in outside snacks. And that's nothing compared to the bucket, though. Have you guys seen the bucket? Look at this bucket. I hope the bucket's on screen. There it is. Yes, it's on screen. That's the Dune sandworm bucket. I don't know what they were thinking with this. I'm not sticking my hand in there. And I'm a pretty big Dune fan at this point. Like, one of the weirdest things I found out about the books is that one of Timothée Chalamet, his character, actually has a son who's half human and half sandworm. I don't know what you see whenever you look at that bucket. I don't know what I see when I look at that bucket. But I know what Paul sees when he looks at that bucket. No, but it is Oscar season. It's Oscar weekend. And something that's been bugging me about recent award seasons is all these new awards that are made up exclusively for blockbuster movies. Have you noticed this? It started in 2022 with Zack Snyder's Justice League. The movie won Best Fan Favorite and Cheer Moment the previous Oscars. 2 awards they ought to repossess after Rebel Moon Part 1, if you know what I mean. But this year we had Barbie winning cinematic and box office achievement at the Golden Globes. Seriously? You need a whole award just to say that it was a box office achievement? How can't you just look at, I don't know, the box office? These new awards are completely pointless. Why do we need to pat big budget films on the back just because they made a truckload of money? Let the award shows focus on niche prestige films that actually deserve recognition, like Killers of the Flower Moon. Now that's a movie that truly stands out. Oh, and speaking of killers, did I mention I helped make the film? Well, in lieu of a traditional monologue, I'd like to now give my acceptance speech. I pre-wrote this monologue, but by the time we all know my film, Killers of the Flower Moon, has won Best Picture at the Golden Globes. No, at the Oscars. Oh, fuck, that didn't happen either. All right, shit. Okay, let's skip that. All right, never mind. Let's just drop that. Okay, we'll just skip the rest of that award, that monologue. Let's bring in Ian. All right, let's get right to Ian. All right, Ian Simmons is from Kicking the Seat. He has a great channel on YouTube. Ian, welcome to the show. Forgive me. I clearly, I guess you could tell I thought the Oscars were going to go a certain way, and they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, bless you for really being behind Killers of the Flower Moon, but I've been reading the Oppenheimer writing on the walls for weeks now, months. Feels like years.
Well, you know, my thing was the Golden Globes are just what is it, like a couple hundred people maybe? It's not even that many compared to the Academy Awards. So the Oscars first, they got it there, and I was like, okay, or sorry, the Golden Globes first, they got it there, but now that the Oscars have said that The Killers of the Flower Moon is not the best picture, I'm starting to think, I don't know. I was kind of shocked by the well, let's start here. What did you think of Killers of the Flower Moon? Did you like the film? Did you like my movie?
I did not. It falls into that category of a lot of movies this year where I think they were, really well directed. They looked great. You could see all the money on the screen. It had performances, but I didn't feel enriched in a way coming out of the theater that I felt I might be going in. Yeah, I felt the same way about Oppenheimer.
Okay.
Well,
You felt
I felt the same way about like Oppenheimer, because both, and I've done panels on both these movies, on Oppenheimer and Killers of the Flower Moon, and I have talked to people who read the books, the source materials that both were based on, and the books that I have not read, but I have ordered and are sitting on my shelf to be read, because they say, it's the movie, so they have to edit, they have to dramatize and all that stuff, but the history, the reason, the humanity inside these stories that made them worth telling is just lost. Whereas if you go and read these several hundred-page books, you really get a sense for who these people are and why their stories need to be told. Unfortunately, I didn't feel that way coming out of Killers of Flower Moon. I looked at the trailer, I'm like, I have an idea of what this is about, and 3 hours later, I'm like, yeah, I feel like I could have told this story 10 years ago with just someone said, hey, here's the premise. What would you think a movie would be like? And this is exactly what I think it would be. I didn't see the flavors, the colors, the nuance.
You don't think that Leonardo DiCaprio and Lily Gladstone breathed a level of life into these characters that raises it above because I don't know if you've read the Killers of the Flower Moon book. I listened to the audio book of it. It's a very I don't want to say surgical because that's not the right word, but very.
It was a piece of journalism, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very dry piece of journalism, and this has the film has a layer of nuance. I thought just through the life they were able to breathe into those characters.
No. I mean, I think DiCaprio was miscast because, I mean, he's playing someone who is 19, 20 years old, um, thereabouts, and he's pushing 50. He's a great actor, but he's not that good.
Yeah.
Also, the nature of his character seems to shift throughout the film. It's very inconsistent. And Lily Gladstone, it wasn't until I cannot remember the name of the other film that she was in from last year, the one that she did right before Killers of the Flower Moon. But I watched the trailer for that after this. I'm like, my God, she can break a smile. Like, she had two modes during Killers of the Flower Moon. One was, hysterically weepy, and the other one was kind of like wistfully stoic and almost weepy. She did fine, but there wasn't really a part there. I think the supporting characters really kind of outshone the main characters. And what the hell's going on with De Niro? I mean, he reminded me of whatever was going on with Al Pacino at the end of tonight's awards ceremony, which I'm sure we'll get to later.
Yeah. Well, De Niro had like an eye. He was like an owl in the movie, and that's you get the sense that he was spooky. I liked his portrayal. I don't have a lot of objective things to say about that aspect, but we got a lot to discuss though tonight. Big takeaway. We're starting here. Thank you guys for joining us live. Ian, thank you for making it for the live stream. We're talking immediately after the Oscars, so of course we're picking up right where they left off with the shock that Killers of the Flower Moon did not win Best Picture. I mean, I can't stress enough. The Golden Globes are a joke. Some of the other, but this is the Oscars. But I must say that they didn't get Annette. I don't know if we've talked about Annette before, but Annette is the Best Picture of 2021. The Oscars got it wrong then. But then they got it right with Everything Everywhere All at Once. And so I thought we were on the same page, me and myself and the Academy. Did you agree with Everything Everywhere All at Once last year winning? I mean, come on.
I thought it was an abomination. I hated that movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like this. I like See, I'm the contrarian, but can you give the Cliff Notes version of why before we move on to our kind of chronological overview of the awards tonight?
It's just an LOL so random, off-brand multiverse movie about like a Chinese immigrant story that if like a white person were to pitch it to a Hollywood executive, they'd say, "Get out of here, you racist." I mean, it's just full of stereotypes that we've seen in 100 movies and bad sitcoms, mixed in with like weird hot dog fingers. I got what it was about 20 minutes in, but then I had to sit for another 3 hours because I'm a completionist and a sadist. No thanks.
Interesting. We've talked about Everything Everywhere All at Once. We did a review, and then we also did Oscars coverage last year. We didn't do a full special. We did a TikTok. We experimented with that. I like doing the live format. I think this is a lot more fun. So we are back doing that this year. Let's kind of go through our thoughts on the Oscars a little bit more chronologically, but we should start with Jimmy Kimmel as the host. What did you think of Jimmy Kimmel? And also I'll throw to you, some people have said John Mulaney should have been the host based on his one brief appearance tonight. What do you think?
Totally. I mean, what Mulaney did with his introduction, he turned it into a great stand-up bit about Field of Dreams with a great capper at the end. Kimmel's fine. I mean, he's just kind of with a lot of these, and I think we'll talk about this possibly in depth, because I've seen a lot of praise of people saying, well, we love what they've done with the acting categories. They have former winners come out and give these heartfelt speeches to the current
Yeah.
nominees. I'm like, none of those people wrote that stuff. And they're actors. They can make anything, they can sell any emotion and make it look sincere. I don't believe any of it, except I did like the new rollout, the stealth rollout of the Madame Tussauds Nick Cage statue, now with animatronics. But look, yeah, Kimmel was fine. You know, I don't personally like Jimmy Kimmel, but he did what he had to do, and now it's over.
He did what he had to do. I liked the there is a little bit at the towards the end of this awards show that's going to alienate half of the viewers that watch the Academy Awards. I got it in my own personal group chat. People like the joke. He's definitely a friend of a certain group of people, and he you know, I just don't like, I think politicizing the Academy Awards in the way that he did is a little annoying and can be off-putting for some people, so I usually try and avoid that if I were hosting. But you know, that's Jimmy Kimmel. I like John Mulaney. I think he would have been a really good host. Not saying that he's not off-putting in some ways, but you know, he would have had a little bit of an edge. You know, you miss a Ricky Gervais.
You know, that's the thing. I love Ricky Gervais, and I love that he skewers people in the room and makes people uncomfortable, and he's unpredictable. I mean, that's the thing about Kimmel. I say he's fine, but he's safe. He's very Disney, ABC
Yeah,
friendly. And
yeah,
yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the bit at the end where he read out the tweet, the criticism, and then revealed who it was from, and like everybody
yeah,
was laughing and everything. I'm like, it's just the easiest layup, and it doesn't make what I thought was interesting. And I have to go back and watch the footage. Not everybody was clapping and applauding. So I'm like, you know, people rag on liberal Hollywood, but it's not completely blue, gang.
yeah.
So I'm waiting for the freeze frame analyses of like who was, you know, arms crossed or, you know, not as enthusiastically clapping.
It feels very obligatory
Yeah,
and a very just signally, which is just annoying sometimes. I'm
yeah,
gonna go start going through some of the awards.
sure.
This is a happy one for me. Godzilla Minus One winning visual effects. I was so movie's great. I should say next week we are doing a full Godzilla Minus One episode, so I won't say too much about
Nice.
it right now. But it's a great movie, and I was so happy to see them win it. What do you want to say, Ian?
I was very happy to see them win it, but I have not seen Godzilla Minus One. I
Wow.
look, I spent my week doing the Oscars catch up because there were a number of movies that I missed. And I knew I was coming on this show, so I wanted to bone up on it. And I just ran out of time because some of these things are like 3 hours long. I wasted my time watching half of Maestro. I wasted 2 hours watching Past Lives. I wasted 2.5 hours watching Poor Things, or as I like to call it, Pedo Scissorhands, when I should have been watching Godzilla Minus One. Look, if you
No
doubt me,
kidding.
just let me ask you, anyone who doubts what I just said about Poor Things, tell me the point in the runtime where Emma Stone's character, who has been having sex with numerous men for 2 hours, when does she reach the age of consent? Anyhow, on to Godzilla Minus One. I think it is well deserved because of what that team did. I've only seen the trailers and some clips and stuff here. It looks very good, but this team of like small, scrappy, passionate people got this job doing the special effects for Toho to work on a Godzilla Dream project for what was it like $20 million they spent on
Yeah,
these effects, right?
something insanely
I
low.
This is the kind of message award that I like for Hollywood to send. You
Yes.
know, because there was some stiff competition. Looking at the clips that they showed, where you know all the effects were coming together in layers and all the craftsmanship that goes into making it, it was up against Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3 for crying out loud. And
Yeah.
Napoleon, like much more polished, slick things, but these are also movies that cost $250 million. And Hollywood is hemorrhaging money and talent right now. So I think that was a signal to say, hey guys, look what these scrappy chaps can do with $20 million, what they can do with our marginal like write-off money,
Yeah.
and they can win an Oscar. Get your act together. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, just speaking purely on the visual effects aspect of Godzilla Minus One, it's breathtaking. Like he destroys cities, and it looks real. It's all done in daylight, whereas some of the previous American Godzilla movies have have kind of leaned on putting him in nighttime scenarios and like covering him with clouds and stuff. They don't do any of that in this movie. It's just, and you will believe a man will fly, or you will believe a giant lizard will destroy Tokyo. It's incredible. I like Godzilla Minus One a lot. So we're going to talk about more. We're going to talk about it more next week on the Film Fan Club show. So that'll be at our regular time slot of Monday at 10:30 p.m. Central Time on YouTube. 20 Days in Mariupol. I don't have a lot to say about it, except we covered it, and my day job we previewed the local Circle Cinema here in Tulsa. They showed it and had the director and filmmaker in Tulsa at a sold out screening, who talked about his now at this time Oscar winning documentary. So that's very cool. Do you have anything to say about 20 Days in Mariupol?
Another miss for me. The documentaries, I don't think I saw any of them this year. It was been a very crazy year, 2023 was, and 2024 is shaping up the same way. But it looks good, and it definitely caught my attention. So I'll be catching up with it at some point soon. I thought the acceptance speech was pretty solid. I'm not necessarily a fan of the political speeches, but I think when it directly relates to the material at hand, I can say, yeah, go for it.
I get I think he was, I'm not saying anything about the political angle of it, but him turning around and being like, I shouldn't have to make this because, he is
Right.
it's an anti-war movie, and he doesn't want the war. And I thought it was a very poignant speech, and you can feel it in his soul, all that good stuff. And Across the Spider-Verse did not win animated feature. It went to The Boy and the Heron, which I went and saw. I tried to see at the movie theater, and I fell asleep during, so I didn't. So I was not advocating for The Boy and the Heron to win. I didn't like what I saw either. I was fine when I woke up from the nap, and I just left. I was like, why would I waste any more time here? So The Boy and the Heron. Did you see that? Did you want Across the Spider-Verse to win? How you feeling about animated feature?
Sam, I'm going to promise you that it's very soon in our conversation, we're going to talk about movies that I saw that were nominated for Oscars and that were featured on the show tonight. Did not see The Boy and the Heron. I think I have a screener of it still somewhere, but I thought Spider-Verse was a lock. I should have known that they would probably
Same.
give it to Miyazaki because of, again, I can't talk to the quality of it, but Spider-Verse, I think, even more so than Into the Spider-Verse from a few years ago, it's next level, considering they maintained the visual style and pushed the boundaries of that visual style, and it's different filmmakers making both movies. So it's a completely its own achievement. It's not like, oh, we already have the characters and the effects and the environments in the can, we'll just spit out another one. We just need AI generated script. No, this is its own unique thing. But it didn't win, so whatever. But I'm sorry. My point is, it's like the Miyazaki Lifetime Achievement Award. Like he's getting,
I
we got to
agree.
give it to him, and that bothers me. It's like the Train Spotting line about how Connery won for The Untouchables because it was the sympathy vote.
I agree. I feel like Miyazaki's it's a legacy award kind of thing. Whereas Across the Spider-Verse, I thought it was going to be Across the Spider-Verse. We like Across the Spider-Verse here, but again, I didn't. I tried to see Boy and the Heron. I guess, and I should probably lean into that more. Not I should blame it on the movie that I fell asleep. It's the movie's fault. So because of that, I was not rooting for it. What more can be said? Live action short. This is in the ultimate Chad move. Live action short went to Wes Anderson for his first Academy Award win, and he didn't even show up. That's amazing. I love that. He's like, I don't even care. That's incredible. What do you think about that? I didn't see Henry Sugar.
I didn't either. I didn't even know what it was until I saw some random thing on, Google News that popped up with a pic. I'm like, oh, Benedict Cumberbatch is in something. I wonder when that's coming out. Turns out it's an Oscar-nominated short that, came out last year. I, didn't see it. But the same with the animated short bothers me because, I mean, the animated short came first, I believe.
Okay.
And it was based on War Is Over by John Lennon and Yoko Ono.
Oh, right.
And when you have was it Sean?
Oh no, Lennon.
Ono Lennon. Yeah, I want to say Lennon Ono, but that wasn't right. He got up on stage with the people who made the film, and when they started saying, I'm like, okay, cool. Someone just loved Beatles music and it loved John and Yoko and made a tribute film. Isn't that kind of cool? And again, scrappy. I'm like, that's neat. And I looked at the other nominees. I'm like, they all look like passionate, filmmakers who are doing their thing, got recognized by the Academy somehow. And then they shout out from the stage, and we like to give special thanks to Peter Jackson. Without his guidance, we couldn't have done this.
Oh,
And a shout out to Epic Games. And, and they had like the son of the people who wrote the song. I'm like, no, the same
oh,
thing
I
with Wes
see.
Anderson. I'm like, there should be a separate category for Nepo, short films and real short films. Not to denigrate the art itself, but it just seems like an unfair advantage.
That's interesting. I hadn't considered that. I don't know quite what I think about it yet, but that's an interesting perspective that I hadn't considered. You got the spiciest takes. This is why we have Ian on. We got to have you on more. I always feel like such a contrarian, and then now you're just throwing it out there like that. I'm like, oh my gosh. Here's another one. You're going to disagree with me on this. Robert Downey Jr. Won Best Supporting Actor. I think it should have gone to Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro was fantastic. The perfect villain role for Killers of the Flower Moon. Really gave that film where you have a character in Leonardo DiCaprio who has that kind of conflict going on, that moral conflict. You need someone that's pure evil. Robert De Niro was that pure evil. Leonardo DiCaprio obviously should have been nominated, but he wasn't, unfortunately. But Robert De Niro did a great job as well. And, this being Robert Downey Jr.'s first win, I believe, his first Oscar.
Third nomination, first win, I think. Yeah,
I'm happy. I'm happy that he got it on a different level. If once I separate the whole Killers of the Flower Moon of it all, I am happy for our Robert Downey Jr. had that swag in his acceptance speech. What do you think about that?
Well, you'll be happy to know that I've seen both Oppenheimer and Killers of the Flower Moon, so I can talk some knowledge about this. De Niro, I respect him as an actor, but I think it's time to hang up the spurs. And I felt that same way watching Killers of the Flower Moon. He's done the same bit for 30 years now. And I think there is something to be said for someone who spends 30 years really creating a performance and a persona and like giving it his all. And then the next 30 years kind of coasting on that. It's the same thing with Christopher Walken showing up in Dune 2. I'm like, no, you AI generate Christopher Walken from True Romance era and put him as the Emperor of the Universe. I'm terrified. This guy, I'm like, I want more cowbell on Arrakis. But no, Downey was one of my favorite parts of Oppenheimer. And I know we'll talk about Cillian Murphy later, but I really dug what he did with the performance. I just wish the whole movie had been about that trial instead of it being a subplot within a subplot with an Inception narrative type thing going on. But yeah, I love Downey and I loved him in that role.
I liked that aspect of Oppenheimer. I liked the black and white scenes, then I liked the present day scenes, and I liked the inception of it all. The next one is Best Supporting Actress. I think this actually might have came before Supporting Actor, but yes. I didn't see it. The movie Holdovers, but Divine Joy Randolph. I would just want to point out that I predicted that she was going to win because I had kind of seen some of the other hype, and I did some math, and I'm like, I've been watching Sherlock a lot lately. So in the show Sherlock, he's really good at deducing things. So I just picked up what I saw in that show, and I deduced that even though I hadn't seen the movie, that Divine Joy Randolph from The Holdovers was going to win Best Supporting Actress. And I was right. So I just like to point out that I was right. I have no further commentary to add other than I'm happy. She looked really happy to have won. So good for her.
Yes, I've seen The Holdovers. I thought she was great in it.
You have?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I know. Stand back. I've seen one of the movies we're talking about.
Well, you've seen one of these movies. Okay, yeah. Gotcha. I haven't seen Holdovers, so this is a good balance.
Yes, I've seen one of the movies that isn't one of the top, 3 films of the year last year. But no, I was kind of not put off, but like confused because everyone was pronouncing her name as Davine Joy Randolph, and I just thought of it as Divine, but it's Davine. I guess the apostrophe is real. But no, she was great in the movie in a very key kind of supportive role, like a true supporting actress performance where she's integral to the story, but she definitely has her time to shine. I don't know if I should have put a but in there, and she has her time to shine. So yeah, definitely check out The Holdovers. It feels almost like the film adaptation of a novel you had to read in high school, but it's very good, and she's great in it.
I need to see it. I have it on hold from the library. I have it holding over from the library. I'm trying to get closer to that. But yeah, I'm gonna watch it eventually. I wanted to see it before the Oscars. I just didn't make the time to see it at the theater, and the library is very backed up right now. It's very antiquated, but I still use the library. I like it a lot. We're
No,
gonna
we're big library folks in the Simmons house too, and also you didn't miss out by not seeing it in the theater. It works just fine at home. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, there's some movies that we've been talking a lot about. Dune. On my show, we talked about Dune. I think Dune should have been a 10 episode season of television. The first book should have been a 10 episode season of television. My guest on that episode, Alex, thinks that it should have been in movies, because in the theaters, because of the sound design and like just the way you need to experience it in theater. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I think it could have been a television. So I have been thinking a lot about lately what should be in what medium. So that's interesting. Where
Yeah.
we should watch at home, we should watch at the theater. Okay. I think we're at the I'm Just Ken performance is the next thing I have written down. We're obviously a big fan of Ken, the character in this household. I thought the performance was fantastic, but what else can be said? This reminded me a lot of La La Land. Just remember how good La La Land was. We'll talk
Oh,
a little
yeah.
bit more about La La Land later, whenever I talk about a certain win tonight and how much better La La Land. Anyways, but yeah, I'm Just Ken performance. Did you like it? Have you seen Barbie?
I have seen Barbie. I saw the biggest movie of 2023.
Okay,
Um,
good.
was not a fan. Surprising absolutely no one, I'm sure. But I think that Ryan Gosling's performance of the character, and also his performance of the song, and I'll say the performance of the song at the Oscars, best things about that movie. He really gave it his all, including the opening where he's like reenacting that bit with Marilyn Monroe, where he's in the pink outfit instead of the pink dress, and surrounded by all these dudes that are like in Texan top hats or 10-gallon hats or whatever. It
Yeah,
was a lot of fun, and Slash coming out at the to
that was
play
fun.
guitar, it was completely ridiculous, and it was something that you would have totally seen in Ken's Casa Mojo Dojo.
Do you agree that my thing about the Barbie movie, it wasn't in my top 10 best of the year either. I liked it a lot. I enjoyed it. It was one of the better made movies of the year that I saw. Not in my top 10. One of the things I brought was that it's not really It doesn't really care about like a lot of the issues that America Ferrera goes through. A lot of men go through too. A lot of non-women
Yes.
go through, and it kind of invisibilizes them. And I thought there was a little bit of cognitive dissonance in the film. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of my I don't anyone out there who wants to watch it who hasn't seen my hour and a half live stream about Barbie when it came out. I spent the first hour listening to my other panelists talk about how much they love the movie, and I was just going to let it go because I vehemently disagree with all of their points. But then at the end, someone had the nerve to say, "So, Ian, what did you think?" And then the next 45 minutes were not pretty. I think it's very confused about its politics and the way it views people. I think Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, who I respect as filmmakers otherwise, need to actually go touch grass and talk to real people because, man, they live in Twitterverse. I didn't buy anything about Barbie except for Ken, the plastic doll.
I thought Ken had, as a character, had some serious qualms that were not addressed by the end of the film, and I think it's very funny that I thought it would in a hypothetical. Wouldn't it be hilarious if Ryan Gosling got "I'm Just Ken" best song and then best supporting actor, and then that's the only thing that Barbie took home tonight? That would be really funny. That's not what happened, but that would have been a very funny hypothetical. Let's talk though, and as we talk about Barbie's only win, was it Barbie's only win tonight, or the only one I have written down as best original song? Is it their only win?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, Poor Things
It,
got like everything else that Barbie was going to, like set design, costumes. Yeah.
Yeah. So if that's the case, what do you think of the swing and the miss of Barbie at the Oscars? Original song is nice. I liked What Was I Made For. It's a good song. It was fine. It was not. I think Billie Eilish had a really sweet, speech or whatever, and a good performance of it. But what do you think about the lack of a Barbie sweep?
I just want to talk about the song for a second. I don't get it. I mean, I think partially because it's so tied to the bizarre politics of the film that I'm like, it doesn't make any damn sense. But also her rendition of it, I never got the Billie Eilish thing. I described to my wife as the performance going on. This is like Kristen Stewart Twilight era mixed with a humidifier. You know, what's going on? Are you okay? But anyway, as far as like Barbie winning, going back to what you were saying about, previous Oscar categories for, number one blockbuster, that's all this movie was. It was a recognition that the movie made $1.3 billion. And people were, why didn't Margot Robbie get nominated? Did you watch the movie? There's a
Yeah.
reason that everyone was so behind Ryan Gosling and not Margot Robbie. Partially, I lay a lot of the script, the feet of the script. If Gerwig and Baumbach cared as much about the title character as they did the male lead, then we might be having a different conversation. But everything else, like, I don't get it. It's all about the conversation around the film rather than the actual quality of the movie, in my not so humble opinion.
Hashtag Hillary Barbie. That's what Hillary Clinton came out and said, like, she felt bad that Greta Gerwig and Noah and Margot Robbie didn't get nominated in director and actress respectively, and she's hashtag Hillary Barbie. So I was just throwing my support, behind some strong women. Okay, Ian.
Sure. I wish I had seen any in that movie. I would recommend anyone who is just so taken with the sincerity of the Barbie film and its messaging, dig up I think it was a 60 Minutes interview with Baumbach and Gerwig when they're talking about the concept of the Barbie movie and the characters and everything, and just get a glimpse of what they really think of this project from its inception.
Okay, interesting. Now I'm gonna do that.
It's not some deep, passionate, lifelong love project. It's, hey, we've got a chance to make $100 million whatever movie about a toy. Go. And
Are you
they're like,
telling me
I'm sorry, what?
the
Yeah.
Barbie movie isn't a passion project for Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach? Are you telling me the giant IP is not the passion project? What are you talking about?
Greta Gerwig did not tell Noah Baumbach that she was signing him up to participate in the film.
Oh, well,
He
that's not
found out
something I feel like you should be able to do.
he found out in the media.
Oh, okay. Well, that
Yeah.
sounds like a little like you should ask permission first. It's kind of my get. I don't know the situation.
She don't need permission from no man.
Okay. Well, okay. Well, hey, she did. The movie made a lot of money, and I'm glad you brought up my monologue because that was the original idea behind my monologue. Is that the Oscars seem to be in a way to cater towards those ratings that we all want. They want to, like, let's find a way to shoehorn in the big talker, the big blockbuster movie of the year, whether it be Zack Snyder's Justice League, rightfully so, great film, or in this case Barbie. They're trying to get that in. I'm glad they didn't do any of that fan favorite bullshit this year at the Oscars, like the whatever it was, the one that Zack Snyder won. The Golden Globes doing the box office achievement. I'm like, well, the box office literally just numbers. We can see which one was the box office winner. Like, it's not hard. You don't have to tell me in a Golden Globe.
Right.
Anyways, I will defend Billie Eilish's performance. I think she did a good job. I was curious how it would translate to a live performance because it is so breathy, but I thought she handled it well. Better than I could. So, yeah.
But I mean, you're not a 20-something professional musician. Although you are gargling some water there. Are you gonna regale us with some tunes?
I'm 20 something and I'm a professional and I could be a musician for all you know. I feel like a DJ or something in this hoodie.
You're not like 22. Like, isn't she? I don't know how old Billie Eilish is.
I don't
She
know
looks
how
like
old
she's 12
Biley
to
is.
me.
Yeah, I don't know how old Billie Eilish is. I remember whenever she was wasn't she just like a child like not too long ago? They're all grow up so fast. I have no idea. The best actor went to Cillian Murphy is the important thing that we're talking about here. Best actor went to Cillian Murphy. I thought there was the outside chance that Paul Giamatti would win because he did win, I believe, at the Golden Globes. But no, it went to Cillian Murphy, and then at this point I was like, okay, maybe Oppenheimer might win Best Picture. Brace for impact. But Cillian Murphy gave a good speech. It was fine. Whatever. I feel like such a hater, but yeah, sure, whatever. I'm fine with it. How do you feel?
I was I was surprised because I think, well, maybe I shouldn't have been. But Giamatti, yeah, and you'll see this in the holdovers. I
When I
mentioned
watch
kind
it.
of, yes, right, when you see it finally. I mentioned De Niro has a shtick, and Giamatti kind of has a shtick too, but you get the feeling that he's still in that phase of the career, 20, 30 years in, where he's still trying to give it his all and like live inside these unique characters that he's playing. Um, and I felt that way watching The Holdovers. It's a lovely piece, and he's very good in it. Cillian Murphy, however, in Oppenheimer, I was shocked when they gave it to him. Although, in hindsight, I'm like, well, the fix is in. Um, he, I'm going to go back to Lily Gladstone. I feel like they had the same acting coach for both those movies. Like, look glum, look mildly shocked, be detached, kind of wander as a ghost through your own life story so they don't have to worry about maybe accidentally learning something about you as a human being.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it. He showed more personality just like listening to the names being read out in the category than he did in the entire 3-hour fucking movie. Sorry for
It's a great
swearing.
it could have been a lot more of a versatile performance. You're right. He does do a lot of, he's kind of a little bit more cagey in a film that spans over so much time and takes the character through so much. You would think that it would be a little bit more of a versatile performance. I disagree with you on Lily Gladstone, though. I think Lily Gladstone, part of her power is that she's able to do so much with so little. Also, not even, forget the fact that I'm biased, but Lily Gladstone did a fantastic job in Killers of the Flower Moon, I think. So we'll get there, though. We'll get there, and then I'll go on a couple of rants when we get there. I'll go on a couple of rants. Best director, Christopher Nolan. I'm happy for him. I'm a big Nolan bro. One of my favorite movies of all time is The Dark Knight. But I mean, if any other year that he wasn't going up against a good friend and coworker of mine, Martin Scorsese, I would be much more happy for him. But it's just he's taking. I feel like this feels like the end of The Social Network or something. It feels like we're all friends that have gone on this way, and now we're becoming enemies through no fault of our own. But I don't think I took the right lesson from The Social Network. Anyways, how do you feel about Christopher Nolan winning? Was it another Lifetime Achievement Award? Was it for this movie? Should it have been for this movie? Tell me your thoughts.
It's I I watched both The Zone of Interest and Anatomy of a Fall this week as part of my preparation. I watched Zone of Interest first, Anatomy of a Fall roughly last. In the middle were a bunch of films that I had mentioned earlier that I did not care for. And part of that is because you can see like real grown up adult filmmaking in those bookend pieces. Now, Christopher Nolan is a real life adult. I was going to say, not he doesn't make adult films, but he is a grown up filmmaker.
Yes.
And I'm on the edge of being a Nolan bro. I was more of a Nolan bro several years ago, but I love following his first film.
Yeah.
Dark Knight stuff is all good except for I think the third one. Um,
Rises and Interstellar kind of took him down a little bit, in my opinion. I didn't like Interstellar as much.
I liked Interstellar. I got to watch it again. I
I
couldn't
don't like
stand Tenet. Hmm?
Yeah, I don't like the love stuff at the end. Yeah, I know it's a stale take, but I think it's annoying.
Right. But as a craftsman, as a visionary, as someone who does his own thing, uncompromising, loves shooting on film, respect the hell out of him as an artist. And I loved what he said. He gave one of the classiest speeches ever. They're going to be playing clips of this 50 years from now at the Oscars if there still are Oscars in a half century. But that line, that thing he said, film just celebrated, its 100 years of existence recently. Can you imagine what it would be like to be 100 years into painting? I was like, wow, way to put it
Yeah,
everything into perspective. It's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
It's better than the movie he made, honestly. But my problem with Christopher Nolan is the same problem I have with your dear friend and pen pal Martin Scorsese, which is that whatever he does is going to get nominated for an Oscar in all categories. It's boring, it's predictable, and most times undeserved. I'll say
Wow.
it because not in terms of craftsmanship, but in terms of like being a movie. What business did The Irishman have being nominated for anything outside of technical achievements?
Well, I didn't work on The Irishman. I couldn't tell you that.
There you go. Well, I'm glad if you show me your sleeve, I can see that you're wearing your heart on it. There you go. Love
Yeah.
it.
Oh, that's good. That's good. No, it says I am Kenneth. For
Yes.
those listening to the audio only version of the podcast, you can find us on Apple and Spotify. But I am wearing a hoodie that says I am Kenneth because I am Kenneth. You know, Ian, and in your heart, so are you.
Hey, anywhere else I'd be a 10.
That's good. That's good. So yeah, best director. Congrats to Christopher Nolan. We wish him well. We wish him well. Best actress. Here we go. Here's my rant. Emma Stone won Best Actress, and she shouldn't have. It should have gone to Lily Gladstone. Poor Things. I saw. Here's another thing. I saw Poor Things. We talked about our best movies of 2023 2 weeks ago on this show. I didn't include Poor Things, not because I hadn't seen it, because it wasn't in the 10 best movies of the year. And Emma Stone. Let's talk about La La Land. She did a lot in La La Land. La La Land is a movie that it got a good performance out of her. The material warranted a very good. She was asked to give a good performance. I don't think she's asked to really do a lot in this movie, other than act weird and act like a child in an adult's body. Which, sure, you could say that's a hard thing to do, but it got very stale very quickly. I don't think she. I just don't think she was asked to give the level of performance that Lily Gladstone was asked to give. Lily Gladstone carried the film Killers of the Flower Moon. It was absolutely fantastic. And the fact that they didn't recognize her, I think, is ridiculous. But then again, I'd like to point out Sasheen Littlefeather at the Academy. Notoriously, the Academy does not react well whenever Native American issues are brought up at the Academy Awards. So no wonder they would have a bias against Lily Gladstone, obviously, but they gave it to Emma Stone. Poor Things isn't that good. It doesn't deserve any awards. So Poor Things is fine. Emma Stone is good in La La Land, but I'm disappointed with this with the way this award went. So how do you feel, Ian? Am I correct? Obviously, I'm correct, but you agree. But what? Yeah,
I don't agree on the Lily Gladstone point. I agree on the Emma Stone point. Because, halfway through Poor Things, or a little bit before that, I thought, wow, she's really doing something interesting here. And a lot of it is because of what is in the screenplay, having to portray, spoiler alert, an infant brain inside the body of a 35-year-old woman. There's a lot going on there. But I think the screenplay fails her, at every turn after that, through the end of the film, and it becomes a compromised performance so that, till at almost the very end of the film, she starts talking with perfect diction and she's like fully in control of her faculties. I'm like, how much time has elapsed here? I don't understand what's going on. But again, it's more of a message than a movie. So those considerations fly out the window when you're dealing on those terms. For me, if you want to look at what I was expecting out of Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon, look at Sandra Hüller in Anatomy of a Fall. You've got a woman who's playing a stoic, who has kind of a loose nature, usually when she's, kind of liquored up or in seductress mode. A woman who's got secrets, a woman who's living through a very compromised relationship and a lot of trauma, and having to relate to problems in her family and with her friends. Now, that felt like I was watching a human being with depth and dimension. With Lily Gladstone, and I know this might rub folks the wrong way, but I don't feel like a lot was asked of her. I felt like we have a Native American actress telling a very important story, and that's kind of enough. And you said she carried Killers of Flower Moon. I think I can agree with you, but that's because narratively, there's not much else there. There are hints of subplots that I will hopefully read about in the book that it's based on. But as far as the melange of story ideas that are in that runtime, I'm like, yeah, that should be a miniseries. That I would watch 3 seasons of a 12-episode miniseries called Killers of the Flower Moon. Hell, maybe even with Lily Gladstone, because at that point you have to flesh out your characters more. And dump DiCaprio. He was not what the teeth. Come on.
Some people have said that Timothy Chalamet would be a good or somebody not maybe that like exactly Timothy Chalamet, but closer to that age range.
Yes,
because Ernest was kind of historically a lot younger, I believe, that DiCaprio is now.
And having watched Dune 2, I could buy the duplicity that is in that character. Because when we meet him, we think he's one thing, but then there's like this big reveal midway through the movie that he's been doing all these terrible things for his uncle. I'm like, where the hell did this come from?
Yeah.
But I could believe that Chalamet could sell that in a way that DiCaprio just can't.
Well, and then of course now we're circled back around to Best Picture going to Oppenheimer. Not deserved. It should. I liked Past Lives more than Oppenheimer. Well, no, I liked actually Oppenheimer was number 5 on my list. Past Lives is good. I feel like we haven't really talked about that enough. We didn't really win anything of note. I think. Yeah, nothing that I wrote down. I liked Past Lives. Oppenheimer, I think it would have been a more interesting, a more fun pick for Best Picture. But obviously, the clear choice is Killers of the Flower Moon for Best Picture. It just is. It just is the answer. Like you asked an AI to write what is the best. It just obviously Killers of the Flower Moon. But Past Lives is also good. I just wanted to throw that in there, I guess, as a fun mention. I didn't see a lot of the other ones. I should have seen Anatomy of a Fall. Anything to say about just the disappointment of Killers not winning? Anything else to say about Oppenheimer or our honorable mention, Past Lives?
Okay. I agree with you. I think if you asked AI to write a screenplay adapting the book of Killers of the Flower Moon and then Scorsese filmed that movie, then yes, it would probably qualify for Best Picture. But we're not living in that world yet. As far as Past Lives, that is one that I watch for my homework. A lot of people I know have it on their best of lists, and they've told me all year, you have to watch this movie. And I
Right?
feel like I just need to change up my friend and critics groups because I thought it was dreadful. I thought it
How
was
could you say it's dreadful? It was so. It's an unconventional love story. How can you not like that?
it's an unconventional love story because it's not about actual people. It's okay, 2 12-year-olds, they get separated. And then 12 years later, the one guy looks up this girl that he knew because he's got nothing else going on in his life. Nothing has happened in that 12 years to make him
Sometimes
say, I can't
check
forget my
in.
12-year-old crush. No, we go forward another 12 years. So you're talking about people who are almost 40 years old who never got over their 12-year-old crush. Now, I don't doubt that there are people like that in the world, all 10 of them. But if you're going to tell that story, make it compelling. Don't give me corporate lawyer doing an HR training video voice lady and guy who is so like freakishly like not moving on with his life, talking to each other over Skype. On top of that, you've got the incongruous scene where she says to this guy, they've been talking over Skype for like a month or however, again, these movies need to get better about telling us how much time has elapsed, but they're
True.
developing kind of a friendship. And she says, look, I can't talk to you for a while because I have to focus on my writing and my career. I'm getting distracted with all these calls. And he says, well, that sucks, but I understand. Cut to, she goes to a writer's retreat, immediately jumps into bed with the first guy that says hello to her. Fast forward another 12 years. Oh, yeah, they got married. And she never got in touch with her 12-year-old crush pen pal guy again. And then he shows up at her doorstep and it's causing marriage troubles. There are so many problems with this movie. None of it felt authentic. I felt the people telling the story were very proud of themselves for having not done the basic rudiments of plot, characterization, and frankly, casting. Joe Magaro, I think that's, or John, I thought he was very good as the kind of, sidestepped husband. I would watch a movie with him playing that character after he gets some balls and brains and leaves his wife.
Wow, I liked the movie. I can't believe that you thought it felt inauthentic. I thought they felt like real people. I was so proud of them for not doing the stereotypical thing. Maybe I'm welcome to. I'm 28 years old, so forgive me for being naive. I thought, oh, they're gonna have her cheat on him, and then she doesn't. And then they just, it's just in turn. She just, she has these complicated feelings, and it's just. Yeah, I thought it was nice and
She
wholesome.
does not have feelings. When they're lying in bed and she says, I love you, I'm like, they had to slip that in to prevent walkouts. That's just about it. She is cold as a fish, and he is as dead inside as. Okay, the other thing, I know we're not supposed to pull over and review past lives, but again, he's got this group of friends. They meet in the same like restaurant for over a decade. and they all look exactly the same, except they're wearing different clothes.
Well, that's just, it's a movie.
Exactly the same.
Yeah, it's a movie. Like what the X did you know the X-Men First Class takes place in 1962, but X-Men Dark Phoenix takes place in the mid 1990s, and they look basically the same.
No, they look completely. They got younger actors to play them.
X-Men First Class and X-Men Dark Phoenix.
Oh, I was thinking of the.
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking of X-Men. I was thinking of X3.
I know what you're. Yeah, exactly. No,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So let's not say that
Got
the
him.
gold standard. No, you didn't get me. I was confused. Okay. On top of that, we're talking about a movie that's ostensibly made for and about adults. And if I knew someone who was in this situation, I'd probably tell them, grow up, go outside and touch some grass, and also never talk to me again. I'd be like the lady with the bullshit artist retreat story. Lose my Skype number.
Lose my Skype number. That's so funny. This is great. So you're not going to be nominating Greta Lee, is that her name, for anything anytime soon?
Sales trainer of the year, yes. For
oh my gosh,
generic corporation number 5. But again, look, Sam, do yourself a favor, watch Anatomy of a Fall. See
and the
how
holdovers.
No. Watch the holdovers, but first watch Anatomy of a Fall,
Okay.
and then understand that every aspect of that movie is note perfect. Every performance, even the judge in the murder trial, is perfect. They do nuance with the cross-examining, the prosecutor, the person you're supposed to hate, that guy is a real human being.
Okay.
And it really does wonders for making the audience feel like they're part of the trial. The accused, a stand-in for the victim, a stand-in for the jury and the judge. It is wonderful filmmaking that encompasses the entirety of the human experience, from love relationships to parenting. It's a real movie in a sea of effluence, of Hollywood pap, and it got barely a mention tonight. I'm glad Sandra Huller was nominated, but it was a crime that she did not get an award.
Interesting. So I wish that I had seen it. I remember whenever it was in theaters, and I didn't get a chance to. A lot of these movies feel like they're in theaters for maybe a weekend, and then they leave, and then they go to like the streaming, like Death Zone. I don't know where to find it now. I've tried to get it from the library, but I haven't been able to get it locally here. But I do want to see Anatomy of a Fall. You would say that's your pick for Best Picture?
It's my pick for everything, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think it won adapted, or no, it won original screenplay.
Yeah.
And Zone of Interest won foreign film. And yeah, Sandra Huller was in both of those movies and playing, not too dissimilar characters. I don't want to give anything away, but yeah, very good stuff.
Did you see American Fiction? I didn't see that. It won adapted.
Yes, another crime. And that was the Moonlight La La Land moment for me. I'm like, no, seriously, they're gonna come back on stage and say, we screwed up, ladies and gentlemen. Cord Jefferson gets up on the stage and admits, he says, everybody passed on this thing. I'm like, yes, there's a reason for that.
Oh, damn. I need to see. A lot of people said American Fiction was good. I wanted to see it, but I didn't see it.
Look, I want to prepare you for something.
Yes.
If you watch the trailer and even the clip that they showed to present it as Best Picture, it's all about Jeffrey Wright being this author who never got the respect he thought he deserved. So he writes this book that's making fun of, the Black community, and it becomes an overnight bestseller. 80% of that movie is about his family dealing with the brother breaking up his family, and both brother and sister and other brother dealing with their mom's dementia.
Okay,
The whole author thing is a subplot.
Okay, so that's a little bit of a bait and switch. I hate whenever they do that with the trailer. Yeah. So that's a little bit disappointing, but we could maybe overcome it. I've heard it's other people that I watch on YouTube have said it's good though, so I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. The thing that bothers me, or that doesn't bother me, but that always happens with me rather, is I get all excited for all these movies. I see what wins and loses at the Oscars, and then after the Oscars, my drive to watch half of them falls away.
If you go into American fiction, if you just reframe it in your brain, it's about a guy dealing with family issues, and then he has this opportunity to change his writing career.
Mhm.
Frame it like that, and you've got it in the right proportions.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. All right. I'm trying to think of other big takeaways that I'm not going to convince you on Killers of the Flower Moon tonight. I guess I thought that was a layup, but I'm having to do a lot more legwork here than I thought I was gonna. But my name's in the credits, right?
I would assume so. Now, let me ask you, I have not gotten the full Flowers saga. Did you shake hands with Mr. Scorsese? Did you rub elbows with Mr. DiCaprio? Did you
Well, I mean,
exchange stoic expressions with Madame Gladstone?
Dad takes stoic expressions. We daily meetings. When I say daily meetings, then my official title was transportation production assistant. But daily meetings where they're bringing me coffee. They're saying, Mr. Carrico, what would you think on this? I got people coming to me with scripts, being like, what do you think about this? We're thinking about rewriting it from the perspective of Leo's character. What do you think? And I'm like, you know what? It was actually my approval. I was like, why don't you do that? That sounds like a good idea. I didn't see it wasn't my idea, but I gave the go ahead. It was my I convinced them. So when you say did I shake hands? Like, well, more like did they kiss the ring? I wouldn't say that, but no, we had a good time. We had a good time making the film, and it's an honor just to be nominated. So I'm glad you gave me that opportunity to say that. I don't want to seem like I'm not grateful, but onward to the Heartland Emmys. My next focus is the Heartland Emmys. We're going to see if we can get nominated there and perhaps get a win there. I was hoping to get half of the EGOT taken care of this year, but it's not going to be in the cards. That's disappointing. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, there's always next time. I don't know what that is, but I believe in you, Sam. You got
Thanks.
this. It's early days for you.
I am Kenneth. So who would have thought this? That's actually why I would be wearing the I am Kenneth shirt tonight, is because I need to remind myself, even without an Oscar, I am Kenneth. Ian Simmons, thank you so much. I just want to remind our audience that they can find Kicking the Seat on YouTube. Of course, we'll have your link to your channel in the description. And also your website is kickseat.com, right?
Thank you for getting that right. A lot of people say kickingtheseat.com. Like, I don't know where that would take you, but it's not to my stuff. But yeah, Sam, thank you for the chance to hang out and talk post Oscars. I hope I haven't destroyed my opportunity to come back on your show or driven scores of viewers from your channel, because it's great stuff. None of the opinions expressed by me are reflected by you except where they happen to intersect. So yeah, thanks, man.
Well, I love the different takes. I think it's fun because oftentimes, like I've said several times, usually I'm the one that comes in with the hot takes just to like bomb the conversation and make it fun and interesting. But it seems like we're both just like it's watching like the Game of Thrones Battle of the Blackwater or something. We're having a good time lobbing bombs at each other. So, but again, Killers of the Flower Moon is the best picture of this year. So thank you, Ian. Again, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you, man.
All right. And if you want to follow me, I'm at Samuel D. Carrico on Twitter and Instagram. You can find the Film Fan Club at The Film Fan Club on Facebook and TikTok. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Apple and Spotify. The podcast version is usually posted the next day after the show. Next week, next Monday, 10:30 p.m. Central Time, we're talking about Godzilla Minus One. I'll see you then. I'm Sam Carrico. Thanks for joining.